So we've got to give some shout outs to some people. I'm told that Allie Baker is homesick and will watch this video for no particular reason, so we'll say hi to Allie Baker. We also have to say hi to all of the people who were in our class, but they're away on break. So to all our friends in Florida, Morgan and Nicole, we miss you and hope that you watch this soon. There you have it. Those are all of our shout outs for the day. Those are all of our shout outs. There you go. What I want to do on today's show is I want to look at those stupid sand in, sand out problems. The College Board has a boy crush. I'll give you the background. In 2002 was the first time we saw a question of this type, and the folks at home have time to read it. The first time we saw questions like this, it was people entering and leaving an amusement park. And you had to talk about when the amusement park had the most people in it, and every calculus teacher from here to Kalamazoo, Michigan panicked because the question is just nasty. It is always a calculator active question because of the arithmetic involved. So here it is. A water tank at Camp Newton holds 1,200 gallons of water when time starts. During the first 18 hours, water is pumped in at that rate. During the same time interval, water is removed at that rate. So I want to know, is the amount of water in the tank increasing when time is 15? How do I know if the amount of water in the tank is increasing at time equals 15? What rate at t equals 15? R of t is how things are being removed. W of t is how things are being added, but W of t is always positive. That's what we want to know. That's what we want to know. Way to take too long to say what everybody else had already thought. So here's what we're going to do. W of t is how the water is going in. R of t is how the water is going out. So this is the rate of change of the volume of the water. So I got to find out what W of 15 is minus what R of 15 is. And so what I'm going to do, and some of us have been lax in this, I want to say what that number is. So I want to take my calculator and I want to substitute 15 and I want to substitute 15 and I want to see if I get a positive number or a negative number. I'm going to cheat. You get a negative number. You get negative 121.09. And then because you're awesome students, you're going to tell the College Board that's negative. They don't know that. And so what we say is, so the amount of water is not, wow, what the heck, is not, whoa, it's like the power in my house last night, not increasing. Yeah, we were out for 2 hours. The car didn't crash into my house, so I don't understand why it knocked out my power. Here's the part we really, really need. How much water is in the tank at 18? How would I figure out, well, I got 1,200 gallons at the start, and then I guess I got to add all the water that goes in, and then I got to subtract all the water that gets pumped away. How do I figure out how much water goes into the tank? That's what I want to do. But the College Board has become very good at asking us. The College Board has gotten very, very good at asking us to take a rate and back up to how much stuff there is. If you're given gallons per hour and you've got to back up to gallons, that's an integral every time. Every time it's an integral. And so we're going to integrate from 0 to 18. It is okay, calculus students, to write W of t and R of t since they are well defined. You don't have to write out all those huge expressions. You can write W of t minus R of t. It's a calculator problem. I'll cheat. Your calculator gives you 1309.788, but that is not how you answer the question. You answer the question to the nearest whole number of gallons. That is a big deal. So how many points are we up to? We're up to 4 points. We're up to 4 points. We had an answer with a reason. We had limits. So if you integrated your birthday from 0 to 18, you got a point. If you integrated W minus R from your month to your day, you got a point. It's never a bad idea. Let's do this guy before we're done. Absolute min. Absolute min. This gives me an opportunity to remind myself and all the folks at home that an absolute min occurs at potentially 2 kinds of places. Where could an absolute min occur? At an endpoint or a critical point. An absolute min, and this is like the 3rd time in our review we've come upon this, an absolute min occurs at an endpoint or a critical point. So you gotta know how much water there is at the beginning, and you gotta know how much water there is at the end. That's for sure. We know how many gallons of water there was at the beginning, and we know how many gallons of water there were at the end. What we don't know is where the critical points are. How will we find critical points? Yes, we're going to use our calculator to find when W minus R is 0. Because that's when the 2 rates come together, when you hit an equilibrium state. And an together, yes, where the rates come together, you've got a state of equilibrium, and that's either a state of equilibrium because things are very good, or a state of equilibrium because things are very bad. So again, your calculator does that. I will cheat. 2 times. There are 2 times when that happens. 6.4948 and 12.9748. Awesome. Good question, Wardy. Wardy's question is, how come it's W of t minus R of t? And the answer to the question is, if I want to look at the amount of stuff that there is, the amount of water in the tank is what I get when I integrate W minus R, right? It's something like this. That tells me how much water there is. So I want to know when that's a maximum. How do I find a max? I take a derivative, set it equal to 0. So I take a derivative of an integral function, I get the thing inside. If that helps look at it from a different perspective. Cool. So I got to know how much water there is at this time, so I've got to integrate W minus R. And then I got to know how much water there is here, so I got to integrate W minus R. And both of those numbers can be calculated, 525 and 1697. So, what were we asked for? At what time is the water in the tank an absolute minimum? Well, the water in the tank is at an absolute minimum right there. That's where the water in the tank is at an absolute minimum. It is an acceptable argument to say has to be at an endpoint or a critical point. I checked all my endpoints. I checked all my critical points. 525 is lower than the others. If we had asked for a max, you'd have given me the other time, that 12.97 jobby, and said that water, that amount of water, is higher than the others. There's a D part. We're not going to be able to get to it, but that's okay, because when you download the notes, you're not only going to get all the answer to this thing, you're also going to get a whole other question that you can work out in the privacy of your own home with solution. And what you do in the privacy of your own home is all about spring break. So there, enjoy spring break. Sand in, sand out question coming up on Monday.